Hi, friends. Let's start with this simple thought. Spirituality isn't something we do. It's who we are when we allow God or the divine within us to guide us. Welcome to Speaking from the Heart, a place where we explore life through a Christian gospel lens. We're talking about something practical, personal, and purposeful that we can use in our daily lives. Hi, I'm Richard Fontenay, and I'm so glad that you've been able to join us today. In this episode, we're diving into what it means to embrace spirituality as a way of life, not just something reserved for Sundays or morning devotions, but a steady, grace-filled way of being in the world, at work, in business, and in our relationships. And here's the beautiful truth. Everyone, yes, everyone, can live with spiritual awareness and gospel-centered purpose, no matter your title, your career, or your background. You don't need to retreat to a monastery or live in a quiet cabin in the woods to live a spiritual life. While those can be beautiful callings, spirituality is really about being present to the God within us in the ordinary times of life. It's about remembering that you are a child of God, even in the midst of your workday, your deadlines, family meals, and team meetings. So whether you're a CEO, an educator, a cashier, an influencer, or a stay-at-home parent, you can exhibit a deep spiritual life in your business practices, workplace ethics, and your personal choices. It's how you treat people, and how you forgive quickly, and how you seek truth, and how you hold yourself accountable in love. Now, Jesus modeled this perfectly. He didn't just teach in temples. He taught on the hillside, in fishing boats, at dinner tables, and even while walking dusty roads. He lived a spirituality as a way of life. He was accessible. He exemplified what he was talking about, and he was always in motion. In Matthew chapter 22, he said, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind." And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. Now, this simple yet profound teaching is our blueprint for spiritual living. Loving God and loving others. This really is the daily rhythm of spiritual life. Not once a week, not when it's convenient, but as a way of life. And yes, that includes loving your co-worker who tests your patience, your spouse who gets under your skin from time to time, your client who challenges your ideas, and your competitor who just needs a partner instead of a rival. Now here's an example concerning Leah. Leah was an administrative assistant who once worked for me. She was under pressure to deliver results, pulled in different directions, but managed to keep the office running smoothly. She began every morning with prayer, asking God not for her success, but for wisdom and compassion and integrity. And one day someone came to her with a personal crisis, And Leah could have brushed it off, but instead she listened. And she listened very, very deeply. And then she took him aside and prayed silently with him. Now that moment created a ripple effect. That person became more open, more trusting, and more spiritually attuned. And other people noticed and began to ask Leah for her secret. Now Leah led from the heart, and that's what it looks like to weave spirituality into the workplace. Listening, showing compassion, creating space for grace to silently take hold. And here's another story relating to David that I read about. David ran a small coffee shop, and every Friday he closed 30 minutes early to give his staff time to decompress and share something they were grateful for during that week. They called it Faith and Fellowship Fridays. Now, David didn't preach. He simply said, let's talk about really what matters most. And one of his employers, who never set foot in a church, said, I never knew a workplace could feel like family. I never knew spirituality could look like this. Now, David demonstrated that spirituality is less about ritual and more about relationship. It seems to me that is what Jesus was doing as he walked about teaching his followers. And by the way, I'm not knocking ritual here, but I am saying that if ritual doesn't lead to relationships, then it may not have, then it may have lost its significance. Now, here's what you and I can do today. We can take 5 minutes to reflect on this message in this episode. What insight, word, or phrase resonated with us? What touched our hearts? And what can we do to turn this teaching into action or enrich our business, work, and lives? And more importantly, how can we share this reflection with others? Now, I'd love to hear from you, so if you can drop a comment and let me know what stirred your heart today. In today's episode, got you thinking, please subscribe to Speaking from the Heart. Share this podcast with someone who could use a little soul in their lives. And let's grow this community of spiritual leaders, seekers, heart-centered doers together. Now, in our next episode, we'll explore the parable of the seed, what it means to root your life in spiritual truth and allow the divine to grow your authentic self from the inside out. I don't think you want to miss that one. Now, thank you for listening. I'm Richard Fontenay, signing off. See you next time, if not before. Bye now.